Okay, I just finished work for the day, and there has been an overriding theme. And seriously, almost every one of my clients, not all, but almost every one of them, asked the same question today. How do I overcome the fear of judgment from other people when I gain weight? What do I do when like my body is looking significantly different and people just assume that I have let go? And a few answers to this, or a few little like tips to maybe help you to get through this. This was so hard for me. This the fear of weight gain was one thing, but like the fear of judgment about my weight gain was another thing, right? It was so hard for me to overcome this. But what I will say is as I started to accept my own weight gain, I started to care less about what other people thought about my weight gain. Because at that point, I was living my life, right? I was getting a lot of freedom from recovery. I was having a lot of fun. I was starting to feel like my old self again. And so I got to a point where it was kind of like, you don't like my weight gain, sorry, like I'm done pleasing or trying to, get the approval of other people. I've talked about this in other videos, I lived off of the comments or the compliments that people would give me when I was sick. I seriously think that's what a large part of what kept my eating disorder alive were these compliments that people would say when I was sick, which is so disturbing, right? So I had to first, when I decided to recover, accept the fact that those compliments were going to end, right? Just deal with reality. I am not going to get those compliments when I'm fully recovered. But in some ways it felt refreshing to be like, okay, I can just be a person who doesn't stand out, who doesn't have to be superior, or doesn't have to do anything extreme. I can just be a person. And it felt really good, actually. After I got over the initial sadness of not getting compliments, it felt really good to just go in public and like not stand out. So the fear of judgment, a couple of things that I talked about with my clients today. The first thing is ask yourself, what are some things that you perhaps judge in other people? I'm guessing that most of you are pretty observant, if not judgmental, of other people's bodies. Why? Because you're extremely judgmental and critical of your own body. So you're projecting onto them. That judgment that you're making about everyone else is really coming from an insecurity about yourself, right? So when I realized that, okay, I am judging other people because I obviously value the size of my body. So people that are judging me for my body, they're just insecure about their own bodies. And people who aren't paying attention and don't care don't have insecurities about their bodies. So I just had to assume that the people that were judging me for weight gain were people that maybe had disordered eating, maybe had eating disorders, maybe had really bad relationships with their body, and that was their problem, right? That's their problem, not my problem. And I had to keep reminding myself of that. Stay in your lane, they stay in their lane. Stay in your lane, they stay in your lane. Or they stay in their lane. And really what it came down to is I had to just keep telling myself, you're not that important, Becky. Get over yourself. And I know that sounds really harsh, but I just remember saying that all the time. When I would like go and see someone for the first time after my body had changed, I for some reason thought that they were going to care so much. It was just going to be like really awkward and uncomfortable. And then when I went and would go see those people before, I'd kind of give myself a pep talk of like, you're not that important to these people, especially your body. Get over yourself, get over yourself, get over yourself. Even if, let's say, I had to tell myself this too, even if I was going out and I saw someone in recovery, when I was in recovery, if I saw someone that had gained weight, I had to remind myself, like, I have no idea what they're going through. I have no idea. It made me much more empathetic and less judgmental, because no longer do I think if somebody gains a lot of weight, have they let themselves go. Almost always it's like they're actually taking control back of their lives, right? So I think when you can just repeat to yourself, stay in your lane, it's not your problem, it's their problem, and then get over yourself. Nobody's sitting around obsessing about the weight that you've gained. I can guarantee you that. No one cares that much. So these are just some pointers that helped me. And then the other thing was I had to start looking at who's judgment do I care about the most? Like, whose approval am I trying to seek? And when I realized and I got honest with myself, and it was like the people at the gym and the random people at church, and it was the, just the neighbors and just some, person I've never seen, some stranger at the store. I'm like living my life so that those people are approving of me, or so that those people are giving me compliments. But what about within the walls of my own home? What about my family? What is this doing to my husband and my kids? What is their judgment of this, right? Why am I so worried about others' opinions and I'm not focusing in on what I need to do to recover so that I can be there for my family? And so it's a huge sacrifice. It is. It was a huge exchange or different way of thinking. Instead of trying to like please the outside world, trying to please my family, which the best thing I could do at that time was to fully recover and be present and be able to join in and be a good role model for my kids. And when I weighed out, like, okay, fear of people judging me because I've gained weight, or my family and me being a good mother and wife and role model, you have to you're not going to have both. So you're going to have to choose. Am I going to overcome this fear of judgment and keep going? And trust me, I promise if you keep going, you're going to not give a crap. Someone could call me fat and ugly and huge and lazy and stupid and all these things, and I'd be like, you got a problem, right? That's not my problem. That sounds like you've got a problem. So just remember that. Hopefully this video was helpful in some way. And if you're dealing or struggling with that, especially, obviously I have to mention COVID. A lot of people, it seems like depending on where you're at, you're either in lockdown or you're coming out of lockdown. A lot of people are struggling with that as well, because the COVID-19 that everyone talks about, and heaven forbid people think that might have been what caused it, right? Maybe that's why you gained the weight. Heaven forbid. If you feel comfortable, I always tell people this, if you feel comfortable talking to people about what you're going through, I would say that's your best option. It's not because you're asking for approval, right? You're not asking if this is okay, but telling him, hey, look, I've got an eating disorder. I am not mentally or physically well, and I'm recovering from it. And I'm recovering it in a way that I've never recovered before. In the past, the attempts that I've tried haven't worked very well. So I'm trying a very different approach this time. This approach is very aggressive, and it will probably make me gain weight in a pretty fast time period. But it's something I've never done, and I'm desperate, and I really want to recover from this eating disorder, so I'm going to go for it. I have no idea where I'll end up, but I'm going for it. I'm getting my life back. And that's kind of how I approached it with people that I knew well, that I felt like I want in my circle. I want them to be a good support to me. And then the people that I didn't feel like would receive that well, obviously I wasn't close enough for it to matter. I wasn't like someone I interact with every day where let them judge. That's fine. Okay. So if you feel comfortable talking to people, I feel like just kind of break the ice. It's going to make it much easier for you, so you don't always have to be wondering what other people are thinking. And usually if someone truly loves you, their response is, oh my gosh, I'm so happy for you, good for you, or I had no idea that you were struggling, or wow, I did know you were struggling, you never talked about it, but I've been worried about you, right? So the reactions are always going to be like empathetic, trying to support, showing their love, and if it's not, again, distance yourself from that person temporarily while you're in recovery to protect yourself, and find those people who will gather around and help you. Okay? So have a lovely day. Bye.